Sometimes we use the word Renaissance to talk about revival of something generally, but in art history, Renaissance means something very specific. It means the rebirth of the culture of ancient Greek and ancient Rome, which we call the classical period or classical antiquity. Let's now look at a painting which is early Renaissance period of fresco by Giotto. It's in Italy town named Padua. We are looking at one scene in a complex series of scenes painted on the wall of a private chapel, which is usually called Arena Chapel or sometimes Scrivenage Chapel. This tells something about how patronage is shifting at the very end of the Middle Ages. People have more individuals who are accumulating wealth and they spend their money often on religious work of art, on family chapel to help to ensure their places in heaven. But it also helped to ensure his social position on earth. Scrivenage was a banker, his father had been a banker, and they hired one of the most prominent artists of the era, Giotto, to paint it a fresco cycle. When we look closely at the Lamentation, this is after Christ has been crucified, his body has been removed from the cross. He's being held mourned by his mother Mary in an incredibly emotional moment, surrounded by the apostles who are also mourning his death. There are a number of important changes which differ with medieval. First of all, there have emotion. We have emotion in the face of Mary and in the tender way in which she holds her now dead son. We have emotion in the angel. But even more importantly, we lost the frontally that we saw in medieval. We have a figure from profile view, three-quarter view. We have a figure that are seen from behind. This is much more the way we would really see a group of people. By huge modeling, Giotto is a valuable great figure who take up space. When we use the term modeling, or we could use the Italian word chiaroscuro, we are talking about the creation of an illusion on the face of faces of something that is rounded, something that takes up spaces. And if you look at the back of this figure, you see how the cross is right in certain places and shadow in certain places. The figure seems to take up spaces. They have a sense of mass and volume. Giotto also using the light and dark to call attention to the form of the body underneath the drapery. So for example, Mary Magdalene, who sat at the feet of Christ, we see her knee pressing through the drapery. It's the beginning of an interest in human body and other important changes that we are now in a landscape. In the medieval, we were in heavenly sphere with a marvelous red background, but here we see a bit of the hill, we see a tree, we see a sky. What we are seeing is an increased interest in tracing crisis on earth.